Hey YCC, welcome to the channel. My name is Jay, and on this channel I'm mainly supposed to be documenting my process of doing 3D visualization. It's been a while because I'm traveling in the Philippines right now and just been focusing on my trading, but in this video I will show you how I created this image, and we'll just run through the assets and look at how I set up the camera and the lighting. Everything was done in Twinmotion. So yeah, we just jump straight into it and see how it happened. All right, so we're here in Twinmotion. I already tore off the camera, so you could see the view from the camera as everything is put together. All right. So the first thing I did was started to create or start to bring in these assets, right? So just some of the Nordic uh, forest floor. So I just brought in a bunch of them and just started to lay them out. You can see there's a couple different types. So we have just the mossy embankment and the Nordic forest. So I just keep, bringing them in and placing them the way I wanted. Yeah, just to build up the flow. It doesn't need to be pretty in the viewport. It's really what the camera looks at is what the main uh, focus is. So I know I wanted something a bit of detail. So I brought in this one. You can see it popped in here, right? Um, so this was one of the main ones that was a bit different. And then I also added this rock to the corner here, just to break it up a bit so it wouldn't be plain. Now, after that was done, I went in and I did the scatter. Now, if we look at the scatter, this is just the foliage on top of the forest floor itself. And it's pretty simple. It's just, a couple different types of grass, some of the clovers, some weed and some tall grass. The main thing that I did with this was just adjusting the size so they wouldn't be too big and they would fit the scale that I wanted. So once I did that, see how we got it to look, breaking it up a bit. You still want some empty space in the foliage. You don't want on the forest floor, you don't want like full thick uh greenery. So with that being done, now you can see the main problem here. We have this line that runs across and you could still see the horizon to the back. So I wanted to start to break up that now, and I started to paint in some of the foliage to the back. So you can see the first layer was basically with some of the palms and ferns. The adjustment was these were really just to the size because each one has a different size, and I wanted to have them not similar or not having the same scale, but to look like they grow together. So that was the first thing, and I painted that in. With this, I made an adjustment to the color just to darken the color a bit. And yeah, that was this first layer. And the second layer, we just brought in some simple rocks and some of the bushes that you get with Twinmotion itself. So once that was painted in, it kind of just fills out some of the space a bit. Now I needed some of these bushes to the foreground here, because I mean it would look kind of stranger in a forest, and then where you stood there's no bushes at all, only further back. So why did I brought in again same bushes as these, but I painted them closer to the camera and foreground, midground, and so on, just to add some interest. And then finally I got into the trees. So very simple, just two different type of trees, three variations of each with different ages. So you can see we have like a middle age, small, and then large, right? Same thing for both of them. And then that just completely filled out the space. So you can see we completely filled out the space, looking, you know, kind of good. Now after this, the next step was I just brought in, because this was painted, it doesn't really have that much control, and I wanted certain assets in specific places. So I did this this boulder to the back right here, and I wanted something in this area. So I brought in another boulder and placed it at this point. Now, the reason I didn't paint any trees, uh, you can see this is where the camera is, and I didn't paint any trees here, but in all reality, this will not be empty like this. You would still have some trees, but if I painted it, it would be of the same density as this, which I didn't want. So I placed these by hand. So we have a dead fallen tree there. We have a stump right here. So you see the stump showed up right there. I put in this tree at this point here now. The first camera angle I had, you could see this tree, and then it provided some shade as well. And then after that, I got this tree right here. So for the hand place items, I mean, that was more or less it, apart from the ball that you would see soon. So with that being done, the entire set just green, right? And I wanted to add some color to it, so I brought in the mushrooms. So you can see we have some mushrooms right here, by the tree stump, and then we have a couple over there. So once the mushrooms are in, I was thinking about doing some dead leaves on the floor. Now, I wasn't too sure if you would see it or how it would look. So I placed it in, and you can see it doesn't really make a big difference. You can hardly see it in the scene here. So I didn't do much. It was just like just a couple placed all over randomly. So now for the ball. Now the ball is just a simple sphere from the objects in Twinmotion itself. And I did a material, and a glass material that has this pattern, right? And with the pattern, I simply just adjusted the scale so you would get this effect, right? Um, because it's two-sided, I think that is why we are having this glitch right here, because the two-sided is on. I see with all the two-sided, you could see all the way through it, which is it doesn't make sense, because if you could see through this area, you would see the backside. So I placed the two-sided on. Now, with that being done, yes, the ball has a better gloss, but I wanted these spaces here that you could see through the ball to have this glow, and I just placed in an omnilight and adjusted the color to what I wanted, the temperature, and I turned on the shadows, so the light would stay contained inside the ball, but you would just see it illuminating on the rim, on the rings itself. And after that, I just brought in this sphere reflection probe, and yeah, just to get the reflection on the ball itself. Now, so this is this camera. For the camera settings now, so you can see this is it, you know, all same assets, same camera angle. And now we'll look at the camera settings itself. So starting off, you could see the resolution here, more or less 4K for the FX. Right. So for the, just slide this up, right? The contrast, I turn it up to 70. For some reason, I always like this like rich contrast. with my images. So I turned the contrast up to 70 and brought the saturation down to 47. If the saturation was up too much, it would look too rich, I would say, too colorful, which I don't like. So for the color gradient, I did a blue tint and the line light for the filter. So that is pretty straightforward. We are rendering using the path tracer, and my path tracer settings are 1024 with bounces at 10. The denoiser is on and firefly is off 10 as well. All right. So for this particular image, I used the 35mm focal length. For the other image, I adjusted it to 50mm to get the look that I wanted. So camera effects, vignette to 52, lens flare at 42, basically left it where it was. Sharpness, chromatic aberration down to 0. The parallelism, I did turn it on just to get the trunks of the trees straight. And yeah, that is it for the camera. So for the environment now, the sun intensity is 200 because if I had it off, you could see we wouldn't get any light and it would still look good, but I wanted to get some of the light, the streaks of light to come in on the floor as well as on the trees itself. So 200 just worked out to be a nice number. The sun size, now normally I would adjust the sun size and make it a bit higher in order to soften the shadows, but for this image I didn't want to soften the shadows. I wanted that hard light to come in, so I turned it all the way down to 0, and yeah, right. So the ambient is all the way up to 5, and the white balance, I mean, I just played with it until I found a tone that I liked. So it worked out to be 6342. Right. So for exposure now, I turned off the auto exposure. The exposure is up to 10. And you can see we have the highlight reduction to 1 and the shadow boost to 0.1. So this was just, playing around to find a value that I liked. I didn't turn on any weather for this one, and for the environment itself, I used the backdrop HDRI. So we have an intensity of 49.78. Now these numbers could be rounded off. It's just that as I slid it is what looked good to me. And I just rotated it because I know I wanted some light to come in this way and cast a shadow on the ball itself. So this rotation just happened to work out. And the size, I turned it all the way up and I dropped it on the offset a bit so you wouldn't actually see it on the ground. And yeah, more or less that was it. It's pretty straightforward, as I said. The exports, just JPEG, and I turned the refinement up to high, and yeah, so that was it. There you have it. So it's a pretty simple, straightforward image. I would try to do more of these. If you think I should do more of these and break it down how I did it, don't forget to leave a comment below. Like and subscribe to the channel. I would try to do more, especially with my residential projects that I am doing. And yeah, that's it for now. See you guys in the next video. Peace.